So since the trade desk stock crashed following its earnings release, a lot of investors have been circling this company, analyzing its results, and trying to determine if this is a buying opportunity. So I will be making more content on the trade desk to try and help you make a more informed decision whether to buy or sell the trade desk stock, because there are also some long-time trade desk stockholders that are now considering selling their holding and cutting their ties with this company following that big stock price drop, roughly 40% following the earnings release. So I'm going to cover the company here, share with you some details that I think all investors need to know before they buy or sell trade desk stock.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So one thing I think every trade desk stock investor needs to know is the goal of the company, which the CEO and founder restated in the recent quarterly conference call with Wall Street Analyst, which is the document I'm sharing with you here. The CEO saying that their goal is to buy the entire open internet objectively for buyers, big and small. And there's a lot in that statement there. First of all, their goal is to buy the open internet, meaning they want to be on the buy side and remain on the buy side of the advertising industry. They don't want to be on the supply side. They feel that if they were on both sides, that it would be a conflict of interest and they wouldn't attract as many customers because their customers wouldn't feel like it would be a reasonable decision for them to go with the trade desk, because the trade desk might be biased on the other side of the equation. The other thing they talk about here is the open internet. And one of the reasons they say open internet, because there are some areas that are not open. And they talk about that as well. The CEO talks about one of the biggest flaws with walled gardens is that they measure their own performance. We believe it is in the best interest of every retailer, including Amazon, to have the measurement of the open internet based on something more auditable, more independent, and more transparent than what happens today. And that's true. Buyers of these inventories are more interested in the open internet. They want access to the data so they can measure their own performance, or have third parties, uninterested third parties, measure the data and not have, for instance, Amazon measuring its own data on advertising on its platform, or Alphabet measuring its own data on what the performance is for advertising on Google or YouTube, or Meta platforms giving you the measurement data on Instagram and Facebook, etc. They want to influence and they want to encourage a more open internet where there's more access to this data, so buyers of this inventory can decide and evaluate the results themselves or through third parties and come to more favorable conclusions, more favorable decisions. That's not really happening today. There are several walled gardens and there are several areas of the internet that's not open, and the trade desk has been pushing to create a more open internet, and its clients, the buyers of that inventory, are interested in that because that makes it more favorable for the buy side and perhaps a little less favorable for the supply side. So as I mentioned, this document I'm reading from is the Trade Desk second quarter 2025 conference call with Wall Street Analyst. I made this document available for my channel members. You go to your membership benefits section, you'll see the link to this file, which contains not only the Trade Desk, but dozens more highlighted conference call transcripts just like this. And you can join our channel for less than $5 a month. See the link in the description for all the membership benefits, and there are plenty. This is just one of those benefits. So one of their latest products is working really well, and they call it Kokai or Kokei. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. The forecasting ability of this new software is powered by artificial intelligence, and it's predicting the reach and performance of an advertising campaign before a single dollar is spent. And that's really helpful for marketers. Let's say your goal as a marketer is I want to reach 1 million viewers, right? I just want 1 million viewers to see my advertisement. So this software, this forecasting software will let you know how much you need to spend, where you need to spend it, at what duration you need to wait to reach 1 million viewers. Or let's say your goal is to get 100,000 people to click on a link and go to your website. Well, this forecasting tool will let you know at your current spending rate how long it will take you to reach those performance goals, and you can make adjustments based on this forecasting tool so that you can increase the probability that you hit your targets and you hit your goal. It's a helpful tool for marketers and advertisers to reach their targets. So interestingly, there are what the trade desk calls the big five. And these are the best of TV, the best of movies, the best of music, the best of journalism, and the best of sports. Currently, consumers spend most of their time on these big five, right? Either they're watching something on TV, or they're watching a movie, or they're listening to music, or they're reading articles, or they're watching a sporting event. People spend most of their time on these five big categories. However, most of the money for advertising goes to search, like Google search, and social, like Instagram. I find that to be interesting how people spend most of their time on those categories, but most of the advertising money is going to Google search and Meta platforms. And I think the biggest reason for that is the proximity to sale. What I mean by that is if you're watching a sporting event and you see an advertisement during a sporting event, um, you're watching TV. So even though they're getting better with the, code on screen where you can use your phone and scan the code and go to the website and make a purchase, those are not as frequent, right? When you're watching a sporting event, you're not in the shopping mood. You're not thinking about shopping. Um, Unless of course it's food. You might that's why you see a lot of commercials for food during a sporting event, because that's something that you might be like, oh, let me order a pizza while I'm watching the game. But other than that, you're not thinking about buying a new backpack or back to school items when you're watching a sporting event. You're not going to click through and purchase that. However, that is true when you're on a search engine, right? When you go to your computer and you're typing something into a search engine, a lot of the time you're searching for something you're interested in buying. A lot of the time you're doing research for something you want to buy, comparing products, going to a website, etc., etc. Additionally, when you're on your phone and you're scrolling through your social media page on Instagram or whichever your preferred social media app is, and you see an advertisement for something cool, you can just click on that advertisement. It takes you directly to the website and you can make a purchase uh, quicker and easier than if you're watching something on screen. So that has something to do with why those categories get more of the advertising dollars, because of proximity to sale. But I think over time, those big five categories are going to get better at monetizing that advertising inventory, and more of the dollars will go to those categories. And for trade desk stock investors, that's good because the company generates most of its revenue from connected TV. Connected TV is the trade desk's largest category revenue share. And so as advertisers generate a greater share of ad dollars in that category, that will benefit the trade desk because that inventory will become more attractive to marketers looking to spend in that category. So these are just some of the things that I think all trade desk stock investors need to know before they buy or sell. Of course, I don't think that this 10-minute video is enough to make a well-informed decision, but it's a good start. And I have many, many more videos on trade desk on my channel. I encourage you to explore those before you finally come to your decision on buying or selling trade desk stock.
Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.